Origins of Houthis. In the 1990s, a movement emerged in the mountains of northern Yemen seeking to revive Zaidi Islam. The Zaidi sect, a branch of Shia Islam, had dominated northern Yemen for centuries. The term imamate refers to the office or position of an imam, a religious and political leader in Shia Islam. The imamate is responsible for guiding the Muslim community and ensuring the proper interpretation of religious teachings. The Zaidi imamate, which had endured under varying circumstances, was overthrown in 1962, leading to the end of the North Yemen Civil War in 1970. This marked the termination of the almost 1,000-year-old Zaidi imamate in Yemen. After the end of the imamate, the northern areas, predominantly Zaidi, were marginalized, and Zaidism, which was once associated with the imamate, became associated with the Houthi movement, although not all Zaidis are Houthis. Hussein Badreddin al-Houthi, officially known as Ansar Allah, a former parliamentarian and prominent Zaidi religious scholar, led youth summer camps teaching Zaidi doctrine. He also began speaking out against government corruption and ties with America after 9/11, accusing then-President Ali Abdullah Saleh of enabling U.S. domination. In 2004, after al-Houthi's critical sermons at the Grand Mosque of Sana'a, Saleh ordered his arrest. This sparked an armed confrontation and insurgency centered around the Houthi movement. Yemeni forces killed al-Houthi later that year, but the uprising continued under the mantra, "God is great, death to America, death to Israel, damnation to Jews, victory to Islam." The group fought 6 wars with the Yemeni government between 2004-2010. The brutal government crackdown swelled Houthi ranks by provoking outrage across Yemen. How Arab Spring chaos fuels the Houthis' rise. In 2011, massive protests erupted in Yemen as part of the Arab Spring demonstrations sweeping the Middle East. After 3 decades in power, President Ali Abdullah Saleh was forced from office that year. With the country in political turmoil, competing groups vied for power and influence. Protests continued for years, demanding reform and a transition to democracy. During this extended unrest, the Houthi rebels made key gains. They capitalized on public frustration with the government paralysis and expanded their control of territory. The Houthis framed their military actions as combating corruption and defending Yemenis, struggling with poverty and instability. This message resonated widely, boosting their popularity. With the military focused on urban unrest, Houthi fighters faced little resistance, taking over rural areas along key roads and supply lines. This helped tighten their grip in northern strongholds. By 2014, the Houthis felt emboldened to march on the capital Sana'a itself, demanding change. They encountered minor opposition, as many saw them as fighting for the people. This paved the way for the Houthis to eventually take over Sana'a and topple Yemen's transitional government after Arab Spring. So while the 2011 Arab Spring rallies targeted dictatorship, the ensuing chaos and leadership void enabled the Houthi rebels to dramatically expand their power, putting them on the path toward today's civil war. The Hothis Lash Out at Red Sea. In October 2023, the Houthi rebels shocked the world by attacking over 25 ships in the Red Sea near Yemen. The vital shipping lane helps supply much of the Middle East with imports. The attacks came right after fighting between Israel and Hamas militants in Gaza. The Houthis said they launched their maritime raids in solidarity with Palestinians, but the strikes seem useful in other ways too. They may distract Yemenis from being unhappy with Houthi rulers or get leverage over Saudi Arabia, who the Houthis have battled since 2015. The rebels now have better missiles and drones that let them strike farther than before. Some weapons may have secretly come from Iran, who supports the Houthis' anti-American and anti-Israeli stance. The Houthis claim they are carefully only targeting vessels linked to Israel, but they have also damaged other ships, hijacked a South Korean tanker, and disrupted global trade. Most Yemenis support the Houthis defending Palestinians, but the rebels' risky naval attacks could backfire and lose them international support. For now, the Houthis get to look tough as they hold one of the world's busiest seas hostage. The Hothis' Red Sea ship attacks worried countries far from Yemen, since the rebels disrupted a vital trade route between Europe, Asia and North America. Many ships now avoid the Suez Canal and take the long, expensive trip around Africa instead. To restore safe passage, the United States assembled a naval force called Operation Prosperity Guardian. Britain, Canada, Italy, Spain and 6 other countries joined. Their warships now patrol near Yemen. American and British forces have even struck rebel missile sites within Yemen, yet the Houthis pledge more attacks as long as Israel bombs Gaza. Their weapons and technology seem supplied by Iran. So the US-led task force aims to intercept illegal arms shipments too. Stopping the supply of missiles and drones could limit future attacks, but directly battling the Houthis risks pulling other countries deeper into Yemen's civil war. For now, the naval coalition signals unity against the rebel violence and disruption. Their cooperation comes as governments pressure Iran and the Houthis to stand down while trade hangs in the balance.